everyone, and welcome back to Purple Noon, a podcast. I am Stephanie Conti, and I am here with the Susie to my goblin? Witch? Don't know. Savanna Lanausse.
Thanks.
How you doing, Savannah?
Peachy. How you
Peachy
doing?
Keen? I'm doing good. You know, you and I have been battling our own little health myriad of issues, but we're getting on the good side. I think we're finally seeing green, don't you think?
Hot girls have tummy issues.
And just liver issues and dairy issues and
Just health issues in general.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
hot
yeah.
girl thing.
I ain't never seen two pretty best friends that did not have severely compromised immune systems. But okay, so we definitely have been a little bit lighter on posting and things like that between school and, like I said, our own myriad of health issues. I'm a little silly celiac, as my father calls me. And it's sadly, Savannah has had to hopefully temporarily part ways with dairy.
Yep.
How's
I
that
think
journey going for you?
it's technically genetic, but I also think I did it to myself because during the pandemic, I had an iced white mocha or a caramel iced latte every day from Dunkin' or Starbucks.
Oh,
When
and
I
the
mean,
minute you took that out of the equation, you just your body became a barren wasteland of dairy.
yeah, so I'm hoping maybe it's just temporary, but it's also genetic, so this could be for the long run, guys. I'll keep you
Oh, like half of our
updated.
family struggles with dairy. I don't know what is it
Yeah.
with us. It's such a weird thing because that side of the family is Spanish. So I've
Yeah.
never really met like dairy and like dairy issues within Hispanic people, except in our entire lineage, really.
Yeah, all of my dad's siblings are lactose. Um, well,
Most of their kids,
yep. The
most of their kids are
Italians
lactose.
are just anemic. So we
Oh
got that
yeah.
as well. I don't know.
No dairy and low iron consistently. That's the way to live.
Yeah,
Crazy.
just yeah.
But
So
we're
you
getting
know.
through. We're pulling through on the other side. Luckily, it's nothing too serious or anything like that. Nothing to stop us from making podcast episodes. Except what? Last week or 2 weeks ago when we did miss one. That's okay though. It's
That's
fine. It's fine.
fine.
But so as of lately, like what have you been watching? What have you been into?
Um, I started Squid Game. Really crazy.
I've heard a lot of things about it. I have not seen it yet because I made the executive decision to start The Sopranos.
Oh, I love
I'm
The
really
Sopranos.
late to it because I was like, let me at least watch the first episode before the new movie comes out, and I still haven't finished the first episode. It's
Oh,
good, but I
I
haven't
need
been
to
able to
talk
finish it
about the
yet.
movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but I need to talk about the movie. I saw it yesterday.
And
I really loved it. But I have to put a disclaimer. It's not a spoiler, it's a disclaimer. I think many people are going to be disappointed because the story isn't about Tony.
ah,
Where the story is mostly about Dicky Moltisanti, who is the character Christopher's father, and basically what transpired. Because in the show, he's dead. He's not in the show, so it's basically what transpired before his death. I think it's a great story. I really like how they did it. But if you're looking for like Tony, he's not the main character.
yeah.
But I thought it was
Well,
fantastic.
and also like if I feel like maybe it might not be so common to others, but maybe some Italians would be able to figure out that the Many Saints of Newark, Multisanti, is actually that means many saints.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, I mean, they were kind of like saying it from the get go, but I will say the trailer did heavily focus on Tony Soprano, though.
I think it was a little misleading
Well, like,
advertisement.
is he in like at least half of the movie?
So Tony is a child and then you see him as a teenager.
Yeah.
So he's in a lot of scenes, but they're very quick. It
Oh
really
man,
is the story,
they really played you.
but it's still good. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it does have to do with what Tony ends up becoming indirectly.
Now, for someone who hasn't seen The Sopranos, could you recommend watching this as a prequel to The Sopranos? Or
Actually,
is it kind of like you're not going to get it unless you know the show?
so one of the things you probably won't get is when you see a lot of the characters that are younger, it's really cool as someone as a fan of the show to be like, "Oh, there's Paulie. Oh, there's Silvio." So you're gonna miss that, and you're not gonna understand a lot of all of the connections, but you could watch it as a prequel
Okay.
because it's not like you're gonna be completely lost. It's still an introduction to characters.
And it's not like it spoils the ending of the show, right?
Oh, actually, don't watch it.
Really?
It does
Okay.
it does spoil a few things. Very
Okay.
minor things, but a few things. If you're starting to watch it now, you're gonna find out who's kind of dead in The Sopranos because they do
Gotcha.
spoil some deaths, that take place in the show. At least one I know for sure.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Oh dang. Now we gotta put it off for longer. Now I gotta go through 86 hours. It's literally 86 hours. I gotta go through 86 hours to watch another hour and a half and complete it.
I'm telling you, because I just realized the narrator of this movie is dead.
Oh.
It's not Tony before anybody gets mad at me. The narrator's not Tony, but the character that is narrating the movie is dead, and that's the first thing you find out.
Gotcha. Well, I'm letting you know right now, I probably won't get to this movie till a year from now,
No
just because
worries.
the stipulation is that if I want to watch The Sopranos to kind of prevent me from being on like the bed or the couch too often, I've told myself I can only watch The Sopranos while I'm on the treadmill. So we'll see if I become a skinny legend because of
It's a
this
long
narrative,
it's a
or
long series.
or if I never get to the series. It's only two things are going to happen, or one of two options are going to happen.
You gotta watch it. It's a very like it's probably one of the best shows.
I've heard a lot about it. I've heard, like, obviously, growing up as a, New York Italian, it was,
It's a prerequisite.
yeah, of course. Like, and so many people are like, how have you not seen it? I'm like, dude, I was 6 when it came out.
No,
Like,
I understand. When I went back home to New Jersey, it's really funny because it's almost like just our national anthem. I don't think we have a lot of things to be proud about, so we get the Sopranos. People are still like quoting a lot of Sopranos. I My friend's boyfriend quoted Sopranos to me. He's around our age, and I'm like, oh, okay. Also, my whole neighborhood was Italians, so
yeah.
I don't know. He's just like a
I will say a big red flag in a human is if they really, like, man, woman, in between, they, them, whatever, if they try to emulate someone from The Sopranos.
no, yeah,
That is a
no.
red flag because I have many family members who I will not say names, who really try, and like, because keep in mind, like, they come from either Staten Island, New Jersey, or parts of New York and stuff, so they do have the accent. But when I tell you, they love to dial that up to a size 10 just to be able to feel like they're in a movie.
The Sopranos, they
It's
want to
just
be.
like how I changed my dialect from coffee to coffee just cause. Just cause. I never said coffee growing up. Maybe I
Well,
did, but I didn't drink coffee as a kid. But now, as I got older, I was like, oh yeah, I gotta let some people know I'm Italian because they might not figure it out. So I just changed the coffee to coffee. That's it.
just do my accent.
Yeah, that's all.
We could
I
have the
I
same
I will say I
accent.
only started. Dude, I don't know if I like, you can pull off that accent. I think I would sound crazy.
Why? You
I
look
don't
more
know.
Italian than I do.
I what?
You look more Italian than I do.
'Cause I'm pale. That's it. That's it. That's the only reason why. Because I don't go in the sun. And it's funny because I get more crap from my Italian family than I do from my Spanish family about being so pale.
Well, that's just racism. For
But you've
being
seen, like,
honest.
my Italian grandmother. She's dark. Because she sits in the sun for, like, 3 hours every day.
That's good for her.
Yeah.
She's got color.
She's she's all the colors. Are you kidding me? She's always like she'll go outside for like an hour and she comes back 3 shades darker. I don't know how she does it. Just
It's the
years and
olivey
years of practice,
tone.
I mean, I
Yeah.
commend her for it, but geez, let me live my pale self. Let me live
I
in pale
mean,
peace,
you are gonna
please.
age beautifully. You're not gonna age.
Yeah, because I don't want to look like a little piece of tanning leather, I'd rather look like porcelain. That's just me though. Yeah, we have a lot of family members that like tan or love fake tanning and stuff. It's just never, it was never for me. You know, nothing against tan skin. It's just, I'm cool with my skin tone.
You have
I
very
look at it, I'm
pretty
like, yeah,
skin.
you know, that's good.
No, you have very pretty skin.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, and so and I already have a myriad of health issues. I do not need to add, basal cell sarcoma to the picture. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've been watching besides Sopranos. I just watch a lot of YouTube. I always watch YouTube because it's so easy to get into. I have an addictive personality, so whenever I like watch something, I tend to like really see through it. At least most of the time, or if not, I have to like dial back from it. Hence why I haven't gotten too far into Twin
Right.
Peaks still. Sorry, Eric, if you're listening. I promise I will get to Twin Peaks. But yeah, it's because if not, I'll be like, oh yeah, and I'll ignore all my exams and my homework, and I'll just do like,
Yeah, I feel that.
5-hour episodes of Twin Peaks, just cause. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Recently, just what I saw Shang-Chi in theaters. That was great. I enjoyed it.
Fun.
And yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And I'm trying to think of a movie I want to see soon. There are a lot of movies I want to see soon.
James Bond's coming out.
That's gonna be good.
Dune.
Yes.
I don't know what Dune's about. I had Zach explain it to me, and I got it a little bit more, but I don't understand. I watched the trailer a few times, and one day I was just like, "What is the plot? What is the plot? I don't know."
Yeah, it's a lot. I feel like it's just going to be one of those things where, and also keep in mind, like it's a long book. Like this movie is probably only going to cover like maybe 200 pages out of the 600 or something like that. Just because it's just going to be too crazy to put in everything within
Well,
the
at that
books.
point, why wouldn't they just make a series?
That's a good point. That's a very, very good point. And I don't know.
Maybe more expensive, I imagine. I don't know.
Maybe so. I know they're going to do other movies though. I know that they have more movies lined up for it too.
Ooh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, so I have a feeling it's probably going to be 3 movies.
Okay.
I have a feeling I just feel like they're trying to go with a trilogy and things like that. Oh, I got partial movie news, and I think the reason why I was so shocked about it was because I thought I would have heard stuff about it because I'm reading
Okay.
I'm finally reading Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the book version.
Oh my
So
gosh, you gotta tell me if you like it or not.
I'm liking it so far. I'm only on like the 3rd chapter, but I'm liking it so far. It's because I was like, oh, I'm going to read it after I finish this Jim Morrison book I'm reading. This Jim Morrison book is so heavy, I realized I couldn't lift it up in bed while I was reading it because it weighs like 15 pounds. So I got so frustrated. I was like, screw it. I'm going to finish that another year. So I just jumped into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But on that topic, because I like Sharon Tate, I follow some Sharon Tate pages and stuff like that.
Okay.
Would you believe that Tex is going to get paroled?
What do you mean he's getting out?
Yeah, like majority of the Manson victims within the next year are being released. Or not Manson victims, Manson like members.
For what?
Just because it's the end of their sentence.
How long were they? 50 years?
I think so. So like it was let me pull it up because like I said, I follow like a Sharon Tate, thing, and there's a new website called No Parole for the Manson Family. And essentially like all of them are facing parole.
Dude, how do you only get 50 years for that?
Yeah, it is. And like, it's crazy. I think it's also because in California, I think death penalty is a harder to come around thing. So they just gave them like I don't know. It's
But
just,
not
it's
even
so
life?
weird.
They didn't even give them life. Like I understand death because I know California's not like that, but they should have gotten at least like life sentence for
Yeah, and
the stuff
apparently
they
on the
did.
15th there is a hearing for Tex specifically, and it's all started by Deborah Tate, Sharon Tate's sister.
Oh god.
Yeah,
No.
because like a lot of them are about to be paroled or have the opportunity to possibly get parole after all these years. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members of the Manson family who
Uh-huh.
have the possibility of getting parole.
That is horrible.
Yeah, it's
Keep him
crazy.
in
And like
there.
even with like, um it's just so crazy because even with, the Hollywood representation of even the character like Tex, and it's just, even though it was more like a fictionalized version, like he still committed those crimes. And I'm so surprised that like, the people who worked on that movie are not bringing this up.
I don't know. That's a really good point. Um, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'll give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe nobody really knows because think about it. Well, they probably have more insight than we do. Why
Y-
would we go looking up that information unless, like you said, it popped up for you? Um, but if they do know, I'm not really sure. It seems like something plausible to do, like, oh, keep that guy in jail.
Yeah, it's just crazy at the fact that they're even facing a possibility of, and like in this petition, like I said, if you go on, it's made by Sharon Tate sisters, no parole for mansonfamily.com, you'll see all the people, and when you click on each image, it comes up their change.org petition. And those, luckily, the petitions and stuff have been gathering, but it literally says like the crimes that they committed. And all of them killed, or all of them were a part of killing, whether they stabbed, whether they did something, they were all part. Like it even has like quotes of what they said, like while they were facing, like texts in the movie. They mentioned that he essentially said like, I'm the devil here to do the devil's work. That was something that was said, like it's really crazy that they would even consider giving any of these members parole.
That's horrible. No, it is.
I know that from, and this is just from I think it was Mindhunters, because I think it was partly true that Tex apparently believes that he's like a saved Christian after what he's done. And like, I understand, yes, drugs play a role in it, blah, 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 but what he did was horrific.
Even if he is a Christian, that doesn't excuse, like, you have to, there are consequences. Just because you might be a better person now, which I don't know. I think sometimes I don't obviously know text, but I think sometimes people pretend to be things to make themselves look better.
Yeah. And I think too, I think also guilt, guilt's a huge thing. I know like even Dahmer at some point was like claiming to be a Christian, while in jail after
Yeah.
eating people. I mean, Jesus. But it's not like, oh, he just went in and like shot and killed and they were dead on sight. No, like he tortured these people for hours.
That's what I'm saying. I think regardless of what they claim, okay, let's just say he really is a Christian and stuff, you still got to go to jail. You still have to probably die in jail.
Yeah.
That's
And I think
the
also
only
the
way.
reason why, because if you consider, how did Charles Manson get a longer sentence than them? Even though he died, he was still given a longer sentence. And I think that is because essentially he was charged for like corroborating the whole murder and everything, and planning it and giving all these people drugs and stuff like that to kind of set forth the plan. But it's still crazy. I just like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, what? And the fact that it's like even the most notable one, Tex, compared to Manson, Tex is the most notable one, that he's even being considered of being paroled, is just insane.
I don't know how none of these people got life sentences.
I don't know. Maybe it was just like the
Like, did they
time.
think they had
Maybe
a
life
better
sentences weren't
chance?
just a thing. Maybe I just don't know.
Because, like, I don't know how they were really, really young when they went to jail. So
In their 20s, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. 50 years, like, they had a maybe they didn't think they'd live that long with all the drugs, maybe, but they had a pretty good chance of being alive. Some of them were like 20 or 19. So my thing is at that point, like, okay, like these are not 40-year-old people. They're probably going to outlive that sentence. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I
It
hope that's not, I hope he doesn't get out.
it's just crazy. But if you agree with us, it is, once again, the website is no parole for mansonfamily.com. If you want to sign the petitions, it doesn't cost anything. It's all through change.org. And the entire page and petitions are all ran by Sharon Tate's own sister. So there's that. But yeah, I just saw that. I thought it was so crazy, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
So crazy. But anyways, let's get into slightly less craziness, but still kind of craziness. It's just fake craziness. That is the movie Suspiria. So we're going to be talking about the 1977 version, not the newer version. And I haven't seen the newer version, so I personally won't be making any comparisons. However, Savanna might bring insight to that. But essentially, the 1977 version was directed and written by Dario Argento, an Italian director, and it's about an American newcomer goes to a prestigious German ballet academy and realizes that the school is a front for something sinister in a mid of series of grisly murders. And it stars Jessica Harper as Susie, Stefania Cassini, Flavio Bucci, Miguel Bozé, and Barbara Magnolfi, and a bunch of other different smaller characters. Oh my god, I didn't even realize this. Udo Kier was apparently the doctor. Do you know who Udo Kier is, Savannah?
No, who's that?
Udo Kier is the same Udo Kier that's in Riget,
We get.
the man baby.
Ew, no.
Yes, the
That show
man
just
baby.
follows us everywhere.
Yeah, he plays the. I just didn't realize that it was him. He plays Dr. Frank Mendel. He's the doctor who, like, I think gives her like the wine, air quote, air quote. But Savannah, I had seen this movie many years ago, and this was your first time ever seeing the 77 version, right?
Yeah, but I've heard a lot about it from you.
What were your thoughts on it?
I very much enjoyed it. It was like Valley of the Dolls meets The Shining meets Hausu.
That's a really good, like, that's great. That's a really great way to tie it all in. Yeah, that's pretty perfect, I'd say.
Thank you. I really enjoyed all of it. Um I liked the anticipation, the build up, um the coloring for this movie. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I feel like I was in a rock opera. So good. It was so good. I really liked it because I think when you think witches, you think, "Oh, was that a spoil?" I'm
No,
sorry.
I'm pretty. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. You're
I
good.
didn't mean to. All right. I think when you think witch, you think Black Cauldron, very American Horror Story, just the um, traditional things. But this kind of took that and spun it on its head. There was just red, greens, pinks, blaring rock music out of nowhere. It was very good, very disorienting. I very much enjoyed it. Um, Last thing I'll say is the set design for this movie is probably the best I've seen for a horror movie.
Oh yeah. And keep in mind too, this was like a smaller budget horror movie, and I think they did a really great job with having that budget spread, not only with like the sets and everything, but even like the special effects too were fantastic.
Yes. Yeah. What about you? When did you first watch this movie?
I think I first watched this movie maybe when I was in high school, so probably about 14. I first saw it, and
Okay.
I found it because I was scrolling through Tumblr, good old Tumblr, the Tumblr days. And I saw pictures of the set and the imagery and the colors used and stuff, and I was like, wow, I've never seen a movie lit like that before. I've never seen that type of coloring in a movie before. So
Yeah.
that's when I watched it, and I was like, holy crap, like this movie is is so original, not only in terms of like the subject, but the way that it's made as well. Like, even I like, you can definitely see like a lot of horror movies try to like kind
Yeah.
of like represent it like or mimic it similarly, but it's never as intense as the original Argento version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I discovered it in high school, and um one of like actually like a really cool quick story is that me and my uncle, like, our common bond is this movie and the director, because he loves foreign horror movies. And
Mhm.
I remember one day I went in a record store and I found a Japanese pressed version of the soundtrack, and I sent him a picture, and it was really cool because like me and my uncle were like never like super close or anything like that, like we were like always call each other up for the holidays and stuff. How you doing,
Mhm.
kid? You doing good? You doing good? School? Like all that crap. And like good crap though. But essentially, yeah, like I sent him the picture. I was like, check this out, and he was like, asked the person behind the desk if they would take my card over the phone. And I thought I was buying it for him and that I was going to ship it to him. And apparently, like, after the phone call, he was like, oh, okay, speak to Stephanie again, and puts me back on the phone. I get back on the phone with him, and he goes, there you go, enjoy it. And keep in mind, it was like $100 record. I was not expecting it at all, and he like totally got it for me. And that one, the Suspiria has a little special place in my heart
That's really
because of that.
sweet.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I really enjoyed the movie, and also, um, I don't I don't know if you even know this, but let's talk about this soundtrack real quick.
Mhm.
The soundtrack is amazing. It's done by Goblin, which was an Italian rock band. And what's pretty cool is that I believe Argento actually composed the entire, soundtrack for Goblin to play. And during the making of Stephanie Conti's The Gathering, which you were a part of, this the theme for the movie was actually the inspiration for like the whispering in the scene of the crystal ball.
You did tell me that a long time ago. That's
Yeah,
right.
when we first made it. So this also, like, this movie does have like a lot of special connections to me because I really really enjoy it. It's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's definitely one that I just thoroughly enjoy and have a lot of connections to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hmm. So
It is
yeah,
nice
because
though.
that theme, as soon as you start, I think that's what makes this movie so fantastic, is because as soon as it starts and you hear that music, you know you're up for something else. Because
Yeah.
there's never been a soundtrack like that before. And that's the reason why I say, like, oh, when you said witch, I don't think it was a spoiler, because in the beginning, like, when it plays the theme, in the song, it actually goes, witch, just screams witch right in like the first 10 minutes. So that's why I don't think it's as much of a spoiler if you say witch.
Okay.
But that soundtrack is so iconic. It's so iconic, and it's so good throughout the entire film. It's not like, oh, just the theme's good and that's it. It's a killer soundtrack throughout the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And definitely one of the most uniques. I think the only thing I could compare it to is the theme of The Exorcist, because the theme of The Exorcist is like, it was done by a rock musician. When Keep in mind, the theme of The Exorcist is called Tubular Bells, and it was done by a rock musician when he was like 17. Like, the
Wow.
guy was a kid. So that's the only thing I know, because it has like those rock elements and stuff to it. But I think the soundtrack is absolutely like one of the best parts of this movie.
I totally agree.
So the way that this movie starts is also really interesting too, because you're kind of just thrown in the middle of something being spooky and weird. And I think it does a great job. It's actually pretty unsettling, like, and spoilers now, when the girl, her face is pressed against the glass,
Yeah.
I
It
th-
starts off very crazy.
Yeah, and even though the blood is not realistic, I do not know what cherry juice they used for that pinkish blood, or what pink grapefruit juice that they decided to use for this movie. The blood is not realistic, and some of the effects are not realistic, but it's still extremely unsettling.
I love it though. It plays into this whole like fantasy thing, I think.
Yes.
Even though like the blood was not realistic, it was still like they did it in a way that was still really scary. Like remember, this is 70s horror, so a lot of it is just not going to be like it is now. Like you're going to
Yeah.
look at some of it and be like, "Oh, okay." But it was scary. It's a scary I think they do really well with anticipation in this movie. Like figuring out what's going on, I think in general is scary. Also, every character in this movie is very creepy.
Oh my god. The women here are in, like, they are the most unique looking women, and also just the way that they act. Like, it's so, like, there's no way that these women are not witches just from the get-go, because the way that they act, like, remember the scene where, like, you had the one girl, like, the main character Susie was in the middle, and then the two were like arguing right in front of her face. And I
Yeah.
forgot what they were saying, but they were like, maybe something like liar, lie, right in this poor girl's face.
No, and the okay, the characters are strange, and then they look like they were at like Dracula's castle. Some of the rooms, she walks in. I know there's a scene where she's talking to like the headmistress or something. They have blue velvet on the walls.
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved. Yeah, the set design was fantastic.
But you
It was
don't
it.
okay, if I walk into somewhere with blue velvet on the walls, there's something else going on. Than a dance school. You know what I mean? Like you would okay, I would be like, what else is going on? This is not just for ballet. No ballet school in the history on this earth has had a blue velvet on
Dude,
the
I
wall.
literally scared Zach because we watched this together. I scared him because as soon as I saw it, I just went, she wore blue. I just sang the Blue Velvet theme out of nowhere, and it scared the crap out of him. But yeah, like, it's just so unique. And then also, like, the floral designs on the wall, and, like, when you turn the iris and, all that stuff that attributes, it has, like, a full sense of whimsy. It's
Yeah.
very nonsensical but very whimsical, at best. I feel like that's a good word to describe this. It's like scary but whimsiful.
It's very much Hausu. Hausu vibes.
For sure, for sure. But Hausu has a little bit more, I think, at some
I'm not
points.
sure I understand.
Oh, sorry, that was my
That
Apple
scared
Watch
me.
accidentally clicked the button. But I think what Hausu has that this doesn't, Hausu has a little bit more of a comedic side, especially
Oh,
when
yeah.
when kung fu is like blasting through the doors, kicking vases out of the way. This is it definitely gets really unsettling. I will say the director or casting director, whoever did the casting for this, really did a fantastic job finding young actresses that just look out of this world. Like the girl who plays
Yeah.
Olga with the dark
Strange.
hair and like she's got such sharp facial features. I mean, beautiful woman, but it definitely was like, oh, like even without the makeup and the set, this woman looked like a witch or a vampire, Like something like very mythical.
Yeah. Yep.
So now let me ask you this. What do you think of the casting for the main character, Susie?
So I at first didn't really understand, and then I read some trivia about how originally, I don't remember if it was the director or the writer, somebody wanted the girls to be children.
Yeah.
Um, and they were like, nah, not a good look. So I think maybe he modeled, or he did model, I don't remember exactly what it said. He modeled her very naive and kind of childlike.
Hmm.
So when I read that, that made a little bit more sense to me, but she was definitely very timid. And I know her character was supposed to be like very like innocent and stuff. But I don't know. I think some of her reactions were a little lifeless. Kind
Yeah.
of some of the things that were happening, like her reaction didn't really like add up.
I think that's also attributed to the fact that this entire movie is dubbed. Like, even
That's true.
there's no Italian version of this movie. This is the only version. So I think that also plays into effect because it's really, and I will say this, I've never seen an Italian film that's supposed to center around an American sound nothing more like a British film. Like, all these women don't have, like, and keep in mind, it takes place in Germany. No one has a German accent except the one lady who has like the blonde hair and stuff like that. The one of the ballet teachers.
That's it.
She's the
Yeah.
only convincing German in this movie. Everyone else, their accent, it's just vaguely European. There's no specific dialect or anything. And sometimes, like, even like the main actress who's supposed to be playing an American, her accent did not sound American at all.
I didn't know who was what. I'll be honest. I knew she was American because she says it at one point, but everybody in
It,
this
it was
movie was
still weird
very
because for a
like,
70s film, everyone was kind of still doing like the transatlantic accent.
yes. I was culturally confused the whole time.
It was just, yeah, so weird because, like, especially when she says, like, I'm American, it's like, I am American. And it's like, okay. Like, it didn't flowed properly. I think it was because maybe you just did have a myriad of cast members who were Italian, German, English, and all this stuff. And I think, like, the dubbing, they all just try to do the same accent, if that makes any sense. But the
I
dubbing,
guess.
I think adds that effect, and I think sadly, the only one of the few downsides to this movie is that the dubbing does take away some seriousness away from the film.
Yeah, a little bit. It's very distracting at certain points.
Yeah. It was, it adds charm to the movie, but it does take away like the overall seriousness and stuff like that. Luckily, I don't think it came across as cheesy, but it definitely it added it just I don't know how else to describe it. It just kind of took away from the seriousness of it.
Yeah, I understand. I could see that.
Um, other characters I thought were good. I really liked the blind piano player.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
thought
I did
he
too.
actually had some of the best acting, especially when, um, you know, I think her name was like Frau. I could be wrong. The German woman.
Frau.
I'm thinking Frau Farbissina from Austin Powers. But the blonde woman, I gotta look up her name. I don't think she has a picture on her profile. That's why I'm having a hard time. But yeah, the she comes and yells at the piano player because his dog like had bit like, well, wait, yeah, who was this little boy in like the little, Switzerland outfit?
He turned out to be one of them, no?
I didn't think so. I just thought he was like
I thought he was like
I
their
thought he
little
was like the little
snitch.
berries and cream boy of the
I
movie.
thought he was the snitch. I don't know.
So
I
there
mean, that wasn't clear.
yeah, no, that was a little bit. And then also some people's involvement, like for a movie that's about witches, we really didn't see any witchcraft. Just
Okay.
maggots and death.
I think okay, so I'll say this. I watched the remake,
Okay.
and one of the problems I had with the remake is there is too much going on. Too much going on. And a lot of the times it felt like the 1977 version was like a fleshed out version of the 2018 version.
Okay.
So, at first I was a little bummed that we didn't get to see a lot of witchiness, but after watching the 2018, like there is
It
such
would have been overload. I think with all
overload.
like the soundtrack, the sets and everything like that, and then adding an intricate plot and all this stuff might have been really overwhelming for a film.
I think that's what the problem with the 2018 for me is. I think, first of all, the 2018 one is 2.5 hours.
Dang.
And it's a lot of like weird ass slide plots. And it was a lot. And they had the horror aspect. Suspiria, this version, I think the greatness about it is its subtlety. And the fact that you can kind of digest it all and still like you get a little taste of spookiness, but the overall movie is very interesting. So although we didn't get to see like witchy whatever, I do prefer that over like them cramming it down my
And
throat.
I think that says a lot about a movie. I think the fact that this movie that has even though it does have plot holes, it is missing a little bit, it still is, in basing off your opinion of the movie since I haven't seen it, it still is better than a newer movie. And that still says a
Yeah.
lot. That still says that even though we want to know more, that going the simplistic route was a little bit better than going, the more drawn out 2.5 hour version. So
Yeah.
and
I
normally, like, I think it's a little bit different. I always feel like I'm always giving horror movies a pass because when I
okay.
watch a horror movie, the intent is not like I always know when I watch a horror movie, I'm not going to get a thorough plot.
That's interesting. That's
Like if you
interesting.
notice, like this was the same type of idea that we had with A Nightmare on Elm Street, where there could have been more, but there's also at the end of the day so much going on. Maybe there
That's
just couldn't. But like same thing with
very good point. Very good
like
point.
Jaws could have a little bit more to the plot and stuff like that in terms of character development. Like all these slasher films, Halloween and things like that, like yes, they'll all mention like, oh yeah, kid was sent to a sanitarium as a kid and he lost his knockers. Like yeah, like I get that, but a little bit more. At least I'm always that type of person who wants a little bit more.
I totally agree. That's a very good point to bring up. I think even when you look at some of the newer movies, so one of the movies that, speaking of this, that did a really good I lost my thought. I'm sorry. Continue. I don't know what happened.
You're
I don't
good.
know what
You were
happened.
talking about movies that do a
Oh, okay. Malignant. I just saw Malignant. It's not a serious plot, but it was one of the first horror movies that brought back like the kind of the 80s monster
Mhm.
genre, but also gave a really interesting backstory and plot. So,
I
I
have not
feel
seen
like
Malignant yet. We were actually going to do Suspiria with Malignant, but I couldn't get to Malignant, so sorry about that, guys.
no, my point was I think we're maybe starting to turn a corner with that. Now, I don't know if we're gonna ever get, like, a full-fledged serious horror movie with a good background story, but after seeing *Malignant*, I think we're gonna get more intricate plots.
I will say
So
there is one. There is one horror movie, and it's The Thing, because you get the science. They literally do a little, PDF type explanation with the little markers and how things works and stuff like that. That's where I think that's why it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, because it does a good job at explaining things.
I think that's why you'll like *Malignant* because a part of it did remind me of *The Thing*.
Ooh, okay. Now I got
So
now it's prioritized
it's
now.
not serious, though.
Okay,
That's the
that's
one
fine.
thing you have to go in like, it's not like they still kinda have, like, the cheesy this and that, but there are aspects of the movie that remind me of *The Thing*. So don't go into it thinking you're gonna get this serious movie because it's very far from it.
Okay, okay. And I think that's why maybe because that's what I've heard. I think that's why maybe it wasn't as received as well, because a lot of people were like waiting for like another Paranormal Activity, where, baby's in the carriage and mom is like losing her head in the corner of the room and it's terrifying. I think maybe that's why Malignant got I feel like Malignant, the way people think about it is so split. People either think it's boring or it's like the next big thing.
I think it was a lot of misadvertisement. I think
Gotcha.
it advertised itself as Paranormal Activity when it's nowhere near Paranormal Activity or The Conjuring, and I think people got mad about it, which I understand. If you're going in thinking it's one thing, it's always disappointing when you find out it's not that thing you wanted to see.
Mhm.
So, I think truthfully, they kinda screwed up in how they marketed their movie.
Gotcha. Okay. But I think that's I just feel like I always, and I don't know if this is like bad movie reviewing etiquette. I always feel like I give a pass to horror movies when it comes to plot, because I'm like, oh, it's meant to be spooky. It's
No,
not
a
meant
lot
to
of people
be
do.
thought
That's why we
provoking.
get, like no, a lot of people do. That's why we get, like, Paranormal Activity 9 and,
The
like, Saw 15. That's
Purge
why.
42.
That's why
You
Michael
know,
Myers has come back for 50 years.
Jamie Lee Curtis never sleeps. Are you kidding me? They really said, "Oh no, we're gonna forget all." Like, I think it was what they forgot about Halloween, like with the new Halloween series, because I haven't seen the new Halloween series. But they literally said, "Hey, everything after Halloween 2 doesn't exist anymore," and then they jumped back into it.
But this is the only genre. Can you imagine if a drama did that? Or, like, a romance? "Oh, your husband died,
It's
he's
just Hunger
back."
Games. It's like, forget about Mockingjay. Forget about it. We're
It's the
rewriting it.
it's literally the
What?
only genre that can get away with nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute, like, no sense. This is the genre for it. If you wanna make a film in fact, if you wanna make 10 films that are in the same theme, no sense whatsoever, make a horror movie.
Yeah, didn't they do a Freddy and Jason in space?
Oh god, did they?
I think it was in space.
See, for what? For what? You know?
I don't know.
How did they
I
get
can't
there?
answer that. Yeah, I think it's Jason 10. Yeah. Yeah, Jason Voorhees returns with a new look,
Jason,
new machete, and his same murderous attitudes as he is awakened on a spaceship.
how did he get I'm not watching it. I
It's
can't deal
fine.
with
It's
that.
the 10th. How do you really have time to watch 10 horror movies with just the same character over and over again? Like, I know some people are really into that stuff. People will say like, oh, Friday the 13th number 2 is better than the first one, or things like that, or number 5. Like, I get it. But it even took me a while to get through Harry Potter.
I
I
like
just
Harry Potter.
What was that?
I do like Harry
Oh, I thought
Potter.
you said I don't like. I was like, did you lie to me when I just saw you and you told me you liked
No,
it?
I love it, and but the thing about Harry Potter, at least it made sense.
Yeah, it's not like, oh yeah, how does this one person who drowned in the river as a child keeps coming back? Yeah, that's what Jason drowned in the river, right?
I think so.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I only played the Friday the 13th video game. I only know so much.
I do I think I've seen the first one, that's it. That's where I draw the
Yeah,
line.
you know,
I
it's
can't do
just
any more
so
than this.
it's so crazy how they can keep just going on. There's a Sharknado 6 coming out eventually, maybe 7th. I don't know how far we are along with those.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people put up with this? Is it just because of the thrill? Is it just because, like, it's fun? What do you think? What is your theory? Because I don't know. I think horror movies are fun, but don't we all have limits? I guess
Honestly,
not.
the first thing I thought was that just Tara Reid needs a job. That's the only reason why I thought. But I think it's just a little like subculture thing, you know? Why did they make 3 Psychos? Why did they make 3 Poltergeists? Why did I watch all of them? You
Isn't
know?
3 Psychos?
Yeah. At least, I think 3. I think
Why?
3. Because Anthony Perkins needed to do something. I think that's really it. I think it's just they have the money. These actors, you know,
Oh,
they're willing
do
to
you
do
know
it.
there was a Psycho remake with
Oh,
Vince Vaughn or something
can we
it's
talk about
called?
how it was done by Gus Van Sant, the same guy who did this is how you know you've made it in Hollywood. When you make Good Will Hunting and you have enough money to just make an identical copy of Psycho without changing anything except the actors.
That's hilarious.
Like that's just what Gus Van Sant did. He was just like, all right, whatever. Yeah, there was Psycho 2. Maybe it was only 2 Psychos. I thought it was 3.
Maybe it's 3 with the remake.
There is 3. There is 3. The third one was in 86.
How old was he then?
Oh god, he looks wrinkled on the cover, so he's probably old. He
But
died 10
why?
years later. He was 50 when he did Psycho 3.
What's the plot? What happens? They don't
Nor-
catch him? They catched him the first time.
Norman Bates falls in love with a nun.
You're lying to me.
Nope, it's a nun. It's a nun.
Who greenlighted that?
Anthony Perkins himself directed it.
Oh, Anthony Perkins, man. He's a national treasure, but you gotta know when to stop.
Did he direct the second one too? No, he didn't direct the second one, but he did direct the third one.
The second one, I'm looking it up right now, it doesn't have bad reviews.
You know, I just
It
you know, and like I said too, I even watched Poltergeist 2 and 3, and let me tell you right now, they sucked. The minute Spielberg left that project, it tanked. It
yeah.
tanked completely. And poor little what was her name? Heather. She got sick during the third one and ended up dying.
Oh god, they made her do it again?
Well, remember I don't know if you've seen the third one, but in the third one, she actually so she didn't die directly, but she had severe Crohn's disease. And there was a scene where she was like submerged in water for a while. And she ended up developing pneumonia from it. But because already having complications with Crohn's disease and stuff like that,
I understand.
she ended up like passing away after the third movie. She was like 12.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but it's just like, they weren't good. It's like, you did all that for what? So it's just, and like, I'm sure some people just love them. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Tremors 2 has a soft spot in my heart. Not even the first one with Kevin Bacon. The second
Tremors? What's Tremors?
one. It's just, I grew up in that type of like.
What is it? I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's like, oh my god, do you remember from SpongeBob the Alaskan Bullworm? It's like that, but a horror movie. That's literally it. It's the Alaskan Bullworm, but the horror movie version. Tremors is about like these giant worms that live underground and then they pop up. Kevin Bacon was in the first one.
That sounds ridiculous.
It's great though. The first one's good. The second one's good. Everything else after that is bad. I just really liked it when they learned how to fly.
The worms?
Yeah. You know, evolution, you know, that concept.
Evolution.
But yeah, like there's just so many, like I think it's just because, you know, after sometimes, especially if you really love a trilogy, like I love Poltergeist, they released 2 and 3. They sucked me in and I watched them because I love the original. And you just have hope.
You have to dream and hope it's good.
You know, I think it's because of what Godfather, you know, everyone hopes that the sequel that they're going to watch their favorite movie is going to be a Godfather Part 2. And let me tell you right now, it's never a Godfather Part 2. It's always a Godfather Part 3 every time. Every single time.
Oh, you know what? What other sequels are good? Think about it. I'm trying to think. What is another sequel that's
legally? I think I have to say Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Legally. That's a reboot, though.
Come on,
reboot
sequel. Yeah.
I don't know because I think obviously The Godfather is probably the best one, but are there any other ones that are just as good as the original? I don't know. I
I
can't think
am
of any
not
right
I
now.
am not sure about that, and that's how you know, like, it's usually not. Because usually after the first one, people don't intend like, Poltergeist was never intended on being, like, a series or anything, you know? And that's when, like, the main people go, "Alright, no, I'm not gonna be a part of this," and they go, "Fine, we're gonna get this guy because we can replace you with just some dude on the street," and then that's why it's garbage, you know?
Um, I don't know. I cannot think of any.
Like, the only thing not sequels, but, like, prequels and sidequels, like, I think,
Side quills, okay.
obviously, like, you with the Sopranos movie, like, as, like, companion films, I think El Camino to Breaking Bad or,
Yeah.
even, the Kingdom movie, Ashen of the North, those are, like, good. I don't know any direct sequel. Well, okay, you can count Marvel movies, the Dark Knight trilogy.
But are those sequels or are they just like side quills?
I think
Because I
some of
feel like a lot of them
maybe
aren't.
Marvel is just continuations, not direct sequels.
Because I feel like the stuff with the Dark Knight even is kind of like it's not a direct continuation, right? I don't think so.
Half, like, it kinda is, kinda isn't type of thing, because, like, it's weird because it's kinda like new people are introduced, whereas, like, with The Godfather, it's all the same people all over again, you know?
Well, what constitutes as a sequel?
Oh my god, girl,
Because now I'm confused because I feel like I thought a sequel has to be with like majority of the same people.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Batman. So you're telling me Batman got done with the Dark Knight and then he just fought Bane 2 seconds later?
Well, yes, there's obviously timeline issues, of course, and stuff, but that would be considered a sequel in my opinion, because you're bringing back Batman, you're bringing back Alfred, you're bringing back female characters, you're bringing back all this stuff, you know?
I guess. I don't know. I don't really like superhero movies.
Like, okay, well, Spider-Man, Green Goblin, he's throughout.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 2 is a good sequel people claim to be, and I think so too. I think Spider-Man 2. Paddington 2,
Paddington 2 is the best kids movie. I'm gonna
the
be
number one
Paddington for Halloween,
the
everybody.
you're going as Paddington for Halloween?
Yeah.
I
What do you
love
mean?
that.
Stop. He's I follow his Twitter, and there's just another Twitter about him that pretends to be Paddington, and it's just like
You'll go as
Paddington had a
Paddington,
panic.
I'll go as Citizen Kane. I'll go as Orson Welles.
It's just that one of the Twitter pages of Paddington is just like Paddington had a severe panic attack today, and it's just like him having like mental issues.
Oh my god. I have to look that up.
Well, yeah, I'm going as Paddington, and then I'll go as Marvelous Mrs. Maisel to even it out.
Gotcha. Oh, another good sequel, Twin Peaks and Twin Peaks: The Revival. I'm consider that a
Very good.
sequel. That's good. Even though it's a TV show, it's good.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that was very far from Suspiria though, and the
How we
main
got to
movie we're talking
Paddington
about.
Bear.
We went from Suspiria all the way to us talking about possibly doing a Paddington Bear and Orson Welles photo shoot. I don't think anyone would get it. I don't think anyone would understand.
That's the beauty. We gotta confuse everyone.
I kind of really want to do that right now, but I have to, oh my god.
Listen, I have the costume, so you just let me know.
I'll get back to you on that, because that really sounds really great if I dressed up as Orson Welles. That'd be really funny.
Let me know.
That'd be really, really funny.
Mhm.
But anyways, overall, Suspiria and everything like that. We talked about the music. We talked about the acting. We talked about the actual, writing and stuff like that. How there's a little bit of plot holes, but we do think that you can have a little bit more leeway. What's the word?
Leeway.
Leeway. Thank you. Leeway. Leeway when it comes to horror movies and stuff, because I think it's just a different objective. Call that bad movie criticism. We don't care. But overall, like, I think Suspiria is a really enjoyable movie. And I think it's also greatly paced as well.
Absolutely. I think the anticipation that the movie builds, I'll be honest, sometimes it can get slow. Ooh, excuse me. Sometimes it could get a little slow. I feel like the movie, because it's dubbed, it doesn't take advantage of a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
But the anticipation is great. The characters are creepy. The movie is a rock concert, rock opera. and everything about it, like set design, is very terrifying. So it is worth the watch.
What is your favorite scene?
I think the beginning is stellar. Um, the ending is pretty good too. So let me ask you a question. I was kind of confused on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the other one and I got a little bit more clarity, but I didn't understand the whole when I first watched this one, her like running away and smiling. What does that mean?
I think maybe, um,
Is
you
she
know,
happy? She's a witch
I
now?
wonder the same. I think maybe so, maybe not. I think that's where kind of like the lore is missing, because it could be because like maybe she was free, maybe she was no longer feeling bad because remember she was feeling sick. Maybe when she had killed them, she was feeling a lot better. Especially when she was not drinking the wine, air quote, which I'm pretty sure was just blood that they were like she was just drinking their blood, honestly. Also, why was she targeted?
In this movie, I don't know.
It was I
I'm
just realized that.
confused.
Are all the other people witches, or do they know that they're working for witches? Like there's a lot of like we see the one girl, Olga, in the beginning, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you could stay at my place if you ever need." Once again with that weird transatlantic accent, and then we never see her again.
Yeah.
We just kind of see the invisible witch, and then she shows for like a brief second. She was very antagonizing. She was like, "You'll never find me," and then dies like 2 minutes later.
I thought that maybe it was because like she saw what she saw in the beginning and she kept like pressing and asking for questions about her,
Yeah.
the one girl. That's the only thing I can think of because other than that, the other women were a lot more, for lack of better words, interesting.
Yes.
So it wouldn't make sense otherwise why they would just be like, it's her. I don't know.
Yeah. It definitely. I wonder if maybe all of them like in the end was Susie a witch? Was she turning into a witch? Did she turn into a witch at the end? There's a lot of plot holes when it comes to that. What's your personal theory? Like, what do you think that means?
Um, I mean, they did talk about how like when you kill a witch, you gain her power. So I think by default, she's probably going to be a witch. Do I think at the end of the movie she knows that and she's all happy about it? Based on the character, I don't see any reason why she would like have any ambition of being a witch.
Yeah,
It kind
like
of seems like she fell into it like on accident and like in the movie she kind of did. So, I don't know if she's super hyped about her new life, Like I just based on how timid the character was, no, I don't think so. I don't think she like was super
I think
excited
honestly,
about
like
it.
in the end, it was just the witches were killed. Whatever was restraining her, you know, honestly, as a human being living healthily, because she was just having a myriad of health issues like us, relatable. I think she just felt good in the end. I think she was just no longer anemic in the end, and that was her. That was her. She was just set free.
Stop. She's no
Her
longer
friends
anemic.
never found. Her little friend that she met for like 3 days disappeared, gone. She went to who was that guy she went to? Was it
The
a therapist?
psychiatrist.
Okay, he wasn't a police. At first, I was like, "Are you?" That was a police officer there, and it's like, "Oh no, I'm a psychiatrist." I was like,
Which, by the
"Oh
way,
okay,
why would you tell that to somebody?
yeah,
Before she died, she was like hallucinating. Like, I wouldn't. I don't know the rules after the person, your patient dies, but I don't know if you could just be like spreading their business on the street either.
yeah." I don't know.
I'm gonna ask my therapist.
So,
I'm gonna be like, "Hey, if I die, are you gonna be like talking about me?"
also, I don't know if there is a direct sequel, but apparently this is part of a Dario Argento trilogy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Where I think from what I read here, um yeah, apparently there's a movie called Inferno by Dario Argento because it says that a person plays a cab driver in this film also plays it in its sequel, Inferno. but it doesn't look like any of the main people returned except maybe some of the older characters.
Interesting. And what's that movie about?
So Inferno is about an American college student in Rome and his sister in New York investigate a series of killings in both locations where the residents are domains of two covens of witches. It's literally
Oh, more
copy
witches.
paste in Rome and in New York. They're everywhere now. This is like a Gremlins 2, which by the way is a great sequel, but like this is the Gremlins 2 of that where they just bring it to New York.
So, okay, so maybe it's just the same network of witches?
I think so because one of the women does look like maybe one or two of the characters look familiar from like the first one, but it overall it does seem like a trilogy.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, let me
So,
actually double check this because I just didn't know. I've only know of Suspiria. Like I didn't know that it was a continuation.
I didn't either. I mean, I guess because it's not like maybe it's just not an announced sequel. Like it's not um a
So
fruit.
apparently there's Suspiria, Inferno, and then there's one called The Mother of Tears, and
Mm,
it's called the Three Mothers Trilogy. So the whole thing is called the Three Mothers Trilogy by Dario Argento, and it goes Inferno and then Mother of Tears, which is a much newer film that actually stars Dario Argento's daughter, Asia Argento.
interesting.
I
I'm interested.
definitely think we have to check that out because that looks very interesting. I like the director as I am a fan of like his stylistic and stuff. I just never get the chance to like I never see any of his stuff like available on Netflix or anything like that.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna
I
say I was
muted
I was just about to say something. I was like, dang, that's a long pause. Did my Wi-Fi
I
go out?
muted myself for a second. I was about to I said I saw Suspiria on Tubi.
Yeah, but I don't know if they have any of the other like
Yeah, I don't
of
know.
his other filmographies. Like the only other one that I know because I have the soundtrack to, because once again it's Goblin, I believe, is a one called Tenenbaugh.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. And it looks like it stars a lot of the same people from but yeah, Tenenbaugh is an American writer in Rome is stalked and harassed by a serial killer who is murdering everyone associated with his work in his latest book. I haven't seen that
That's
one, but it sounds
really
good.
cool. That
That
sounds
sounds
really
good.
cool.
Yeah, it looks like oh, did he really do that?
What?
Oh. Dario Argento is one of the writers for Once Upon a Time in the West.
Very cool.
Yeah, it looks like he started out doing more spaghetti westerns before he got into horror.
That's super interesting.
All right. Yeah, I gotta check out more stuff from him because I really wish I would have thought a movie like this or maybe some of his other films would have been like Criterion worthy stuff. Maybe not in the collection, but maybe on the channel.
Suspiria is not?
I don't believe so.
I would have thought. Suspiria, at least.
Yeah. All right, so overall, would you own this movie on DVD and what is your overall rating of the film?
I give it a 8.9 out of 10.
8.9 out of 10. I probably give it an 8, 8.0. 8.0 out of
Cool.
10 cuz I wish, especially since it's such a unique plot, I wish we got a little bit more from it, but overall the soundtrack, the the whole experience of the film and the directing totally makes up for it in my opinion. And I
Yes.
totally would own it on DVD. And I'd honestly think it would be cool if they made like a special edition for it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that is it for that review. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, thank you to Sensei David and Homeboy James. And if you would like to learn how to get a little shout out, check out our almost said Redbubble. I don't know why I want to
We
say
gotta do Redbubble
Redbubble.
now. We have to.
Uh, we do. Check out our Patreon listed down below. And I believe next time we will be continuing, our little spooky fest. With I can't remember which horror movie are we doing next.
When's Freak Week?
Soon. Soon. Let me
I
see.
don't remember. Oh, I wrote it down somewhere. Hold on.
Oh, yes, we have one more film before we get into Freak Week, and that is Let the Right One In.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's
Did
a
you ever
great
see that one?
movie. We saw it together.
Yes, we did. A few years ago. Forgot about that. Sorry. But yes, I'm excited to see it again because I think it's been since that last time since I've seen it.
Yeah.
So go catch up on that movie. I don't know where it is, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. And if you want to see Suspiria is available for free with ads on Tubi. You don't need an account or anything. You just watch it there. Yeah, and we will see you guys next time for episode 72 when we talk about Let the Right One In. Bye.
Bye.